this is Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priest for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, you've heard of a lot of different ways, I guess, babies are saved from abortion, right? There's 40 Days for Life. People pray outside the abortion clinics, right? And decades ago, there was a thing called Operation Rescue, as you know, where people would chain themselves to the clinic so they could talk to the women and then they would get arrested. But there's a new method now that a lot of people might have heard of or maybe haven't and aren't familiar, but it's pretty successful. It's called Red Rose Rescue. Well, joining me today are two of the founders, and let's speak to them, Monica Miller and Will Goodman. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, great to be with you.
Thank you. So, Monica, you've been involved, of course, in the pro-life movement, since the 70s, 80s, a long time, right?
Yes, 1976.
All right. So were you ever involved
in
the old rescue movement? Were you involved in the old rescue movement at all?
Absolutely. Yes.
As we know, in the 90s, that kind of went away more when the FACE law came into effect, but under Clinton. Right. And that style of rescuing went out the window. And Will, were you involved back in those days also?
Yes, I was.
So you also
I got involved in the pro-life movement in 1993, and I was just at kind of the tail end of
the rescue, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so now, Monica, you're one of the founders of Red Rose Rescue, correct? How did you come up with this newer method of rescuing mothers and babies out of the abortion mill?
Yeah, I have been thinking about this for quite a while, even somewhat irrespective of the old style, shall we say, or the traditional style of doing a rescue, which was sitting down in front of the doors, blocking access so that the babies would be protected, the abortions may be delayed or whatever. But I thought that if we actually went into the abortion center and only a small group, not a large group, because we don't want to. This is not a protest, okay? Not that I got a problem with that, but it's a small group. We usually cap it at 6, no more than 6 people. To go into the waiting room, sit down quietly, and try and talk to the moms before they walk down what I call the hallway of death. This is the absolute last opportunity that these women will have to change their minds,
right?
And we have had women leave. Thanks be to God.
What year did you first do your first Red Rose Rescue? When was that?
2017.
2017. Okay, so since then you've been doing them periodically, and traditionally, right, you're trying to talk to the women. And Red Rose, isn't it because you're also giving them a rose and also information?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We do. We at some point. Yes.
And at that point, isn't the clinic kind of telling you to leave, or do they just straight away call the police, or do they ask you to get out?
They will. The staff will usually, say you're trespassing, or you don't belong here, you have to leave now. Words to that effect. You have to understand that the other aspect to a Red Rose Rescue, the likelihood of every single mom changing her mind, frankly, it has never happened. Not every mom will leave. It's very important for us to stay with the unwanted, important for us to have the solidarity with the soon-to-be victims of abortion. Right. So that's where the arrest risk will come in. We stay with the unwanted. Now, not everybody has to stay. We have had Red Rose rescuers, when the police arrive and they're given a warning or whatever, some of our rescuers have, if that's what they want to do, they're free to go, and they will not be arrested. But we have to have at least 2 to 3 people that will stay with the babies, and we can't leave them. And as our mission statement says, that we have to be taken away, and so that's right. A very important dimension of a Red Rose Rescue.
Yeah. Well, I always think about, though, for those when the police say, "Here's your warning, leave." Well, if you leave, then you can go back and do another rescue in a couple of days, someplace else. Whereas if you get arrested, you might end up in jail and all kinds of other, it will take you out of action longer. You know what I mean? So I understand both sides of the coin, but I'm always more tempted to say, well, just leave and then you can come back, kind of thing. But let me ask Will, tell me about your encounters, Will, because now you're a guy trying to talk this girl out of an abortion. And, you know, maybe her boyfriend told her, go and do this anyway. What's been your experience, you know, because you're a man now talking to this girl who's about to go in and have this abortion and kill her baby. Have women responded to you?
Yes, Janet. I was very much motivated and inspired by Mary Wagner in Canada, who before Red Rose Rescue was bringing in flowers to the mother. And what I saw from witnessing Mary's work is she approached the women with gentleness, with kindness, with real charity. And so I've tried to adopt kind of Mary's gentleness and to really just start by smiling and offering a rose and then seeing what develops from there. And what I've seen is that the mothers and even staff members have been receptive to receiving the gift. And then when they're looking at, you know, there's a card that we have attached that has a very welcoming message. Actually, that was adapted from what Mary Wagner put on her roses and her message, sometimes a little miraculous medal. And then on the flip side of the card, the local resources. And so just assuring the mother that, you know, we're there to assist them, that we will leave with them, that there are better options, and that there are a lot of resources in the community that are prepared to help them. And that we're going to stay here in case they change their mind. We're going to remain present with them to love them and their babies. And so what I have witnessed is, you know, women thanking me for the rose, engaging in conversation, and some have decided to follow up and ask more questions about what's available. And one of the things I've seen too is that when these women are approached with a gentleness and a kindness, it's, you know, it's a very, for many of them, a very stressful situation. And so I've seen through Red Rose Rescue, our rescuers encountered these women, hand them roses, and the women leave. And so it's very encouraging to see that. And then we've known in other cases where we may not see people leave right away or only a couple, that we find out later from the abortion staff who will testify that over half of the women leave and never return again. And so we're very encouraged that our witness may persuade many women who we may not actually see leave, but who do in fact leave and never come back.
Right. Now, if you have you're in the waiting room, and if a woman says, okay, can you bring me where there is help? Do you then take them to the nearest pregnancy resource center? Do you have that ability? Do you have that all like in place?
Yes. We always have a support team outside of the abortion center where we're doing the Red Rose Rescue, counselors. So yes, there's that opportunity if a mom leaves, someone will take her and partner with her, accompany her if she leaves the abortion center. Absolutely.
If she needs the pregnancy help center, right? Yeah. Okay. No, because I mean, I've been in that circumstance too, actually, where one time I was in, I think, Indiana, and there was a bubble zone, you know, with a line drawn and all that. And I see this girl and her mother and her boyfriend. She actually sat in the parking lot outside the car, and she was crying. And there she was, and here I am, and there's the clinic. And over here in the strip mall is the pregnancy center. So being I wasn't from Indiana, I said, I don't know about your law, so I'm going to talk to her. And that's what I did. And I walked over and I asked, are you okay? Are you feeling sick? And she goes, yes, I'm nauseous, of course. Morning sickness. She's pregnant. I said, well, come on, there's a deli right here. You want to come? And I said to them, why don't we just get her some ginger ale? So in order to get to the ginger ale, we had to pass the pregnancy center. And I got her in there, and I went and got the ginger ale, and guess what? They never had the abortion. So sometimes that moment of speaking to them, you know, like you're doing, can change their minds, because a lot of them are conflicted. And I know that, of course, from someone who from their testimonies, the aftermath. They talk about that they really didn't want to go through with it. They were being forced or pressured and all that. So you're actually there to offer them, you know, the last ditch attempt to say you don't have to do this, right? So Monica, Now you've been doing this for what, about
That's exactly
7,
right,
8
yeah.
years or something. I mean, how many times have all you been arrested, and compared to how many women have left? Of course, even if I understand it, if one woman left in all those years, it would still be worth it because that was a baby saved. But how is it working so far, as opposed to are you saving a good amount of these women from abortion?
Well, that's a good question. I can't say that every time we've done a Red Rose rescue, a mom has left. But I think that what people need to understand is that we are offering the appropriate response to what is going on in abortion. We are making an attempt to literally defend these unborn babies in the last minutes before they're about to be annihilated in the abortion chambers.
Right.
So I think that the witness that we give is essential. I think it's important.
Right.
And I think it's, as I said, a proper response, a totally peaceful and compassionate response, both for the moms who are scheduled for abortion and their unborn children.
Right.
Now, I sent you a chart. I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but we had a lot of remarkable things. So first of all, the chart that I sent to you was compiled by the abortion provider, Pam DiMaggio, in a December 2nd, 2017 rescue that we did here in Michigan at the Women's Center. And she came to court and testified with the chart that 12 women did not go through with their abortions, and none of them rescheduled. Incredible. If that ever happened in sidewalk counseling, that would be incredible. And in the last rescue that we just did on July 31st, maybe 5 weeks ago or whatever, the clinic shut down. Every mom, there were seven or eight moms in there. This was a kill pill abortion facility. They don't do surgical abortions there. Every mom had to leave. That meant, because of our rescue, at least the babies had a reprieve of their execution. And for sure, every single mom had an opportunity to reconsider her decision. And it would not have happened if we hadn't have done that Red Rose rescue. And you can't do sidewalk counseling. A lot of these places have these long, big parking lots in front of them. And sidewalk counseling is enormously difficult. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So really, the only way you can do it is by going. Yeah.
In the waiting room. Yeah. So, Will, you were telling me too about one of your trials that the abortionist, the abortion clinic, presented evidence of kind of all the money, how many abortions didn't happen that day because of you, and how much money they lost. Remember you were telling me about that? That was at the trial, right?
Yeah, actually, it's the same chart that Monica was talking about, that one of the managers from the abortion mill came in and actually had, well, the names were redacted, but it had the amount of money and the I believe it was how far along the pregnancy was. So really the age of the baby. And so what the abortion mill was hoping to do was get the courts to require of us Red Rose Rescue to pay for the lost, income, the money that they were expecting to make by killing these children. And so we could really see, the profit motive involved by the abortion industry and how they were directly blaming us because these children were not killed. And we had a great attorney, Rob Muse, who was arguing on behalf. And he said the abortion center talks so much about choice, but here we see these women freely left. Some took roses. When the abortion center continued to call them and text them and email them, they never returned the calls. They never recontacted. They never came back in. And so Rob's point was that they freely chose to leave and they freely chose never to come back. And even though this judge was pro-abortion and not in our favor, at least in this hearing, he did not award the abortion center any kind of damages. But it does go to show the profit motive that for each child, they associate an amount of money. And it's very heartbreaking. But at the same time, we were very much inspired that, these women left and never returned, and that these children were spared, and hopefully these mothers got the help they needed.
So now you were both back in jail, not in jail, in court again, I should say court, for that rescue you did this summer at that abortion pill site. And you just had an appearance, didn't you, recently in court, Monica? Why don't you tell us what happened with that?
Yeah, we had a preliminary hearing to establish what is called probable cause for the prosecutor to actually go forward with the trespass charge, and then there was a disorderly conduct charge also. Actually, it was really not much to report. They had a clinic manager who said that she was watching the rescue remotely. She wasn't even there. She was watching it remotely. She got actually quite a. For example, we had 3 people: Joan Andrews Bell, and Christiane Collins, and Eric Holmberg. They never entered the abortion center. They were in the lobby downstairs in the elevators to intercept the moms before they go up to the second floor. So in a sense, they were doing sidewalk counseling inside the lobby.
Right.
But this abortion provider said that they went into the abortion center and they never stepped foot. I mean, it's like, what rescue was she watching, right? So
yeah,
to get something like that so obviously wrong and a major point, so obviously wrong.
So now what's the next step? They had the hearing. Are you going back to court?
Yes. Yeah, we have an arraignment on October 8th, where our attorneys will be entering our plea, which we enter not guilty, and we'll probably have the trial date set. That's what we're anticipating. And then we'll be filing our motions, defense of others, defense of necessity, defense of others. And we're also going to argue, I don't know if Will knows this, but I talked, my attorney is Martin Cannon from the Thomas More Society. And we're going to ask for defense of others, not just for the babies, but for the moms, because there are a lot of complications associated with the abortion pill. And
right.
and this abortion center doesn't tell the moms that if you take the first pill, you can still change your mind, and
right.
and that this is a reversible procedure. They into that with the staff, and so
right.
that's something else that we hope to bring up in our trial.
Right. Well, we also know with the chemical abortions, they don't tell them really what's going to happen to them. They don't tell them that they're going to see their baby in the toilet. They don't tell them that they're going to have a lot of hemorrhaging. And a lot of them end up in the ER, and the abortion clinic tells them, don't say
Right.
you took those pills, tell them you're having a miscarriage, so they lie all the way. Well, what's your website if people want to look at more information? Maybe they want to contact you. Maybe they want to get involved. What's the website to go
to? It's Red Rose Rescue, all one word, .com. And
okay.
Yeah, redroserescue.com.
Okay.
And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and X, Red Rose Rescue.
Okay, great. So they can follow you.
You can contact us through the website. But if on the homepage, we have a lot of stories, a lot of photographs, videos, and whatnot. We have our mission statement. Just you can click on the About tab, and there's the mission statement is there. But the story about the rescue that we did July 31st, the first story right on the left at the top, so you can read about it.
Thank you. Well, we'll keep you all in prayer, and we'll hope that you keep up your good work and more babies and moms are saved. Because I always say, whenever a baby's saved from an abortion, a mom and dad are also saved, and the rest of their family too. So thanks for your bravery. Thanks for using a certain method to save babies, and God bless you.
God bless, Janet. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you learned something today about another way to save babies. And if interested, go to redroserescue.com, their website, learn all about what's happening, and also to pray for them. Not everyone is in that position where they could do this activity, but you can offer your prayers for their success, that more babies are saved. Because remember, brothers and sisters, there's going to be some abortions only you can stop. And therefore, some lives only you can save. Join us again next time. Thank you, and God bless.
Changing our world is not a matter of wishful thinking. We have to participate in the process of making good laws and stopping bad ones. Your voice is needed. At stopabortionnow.org, you can sign up for email alerts that will call you to action when your lawmakers need to be urged to protect the unborn. These alerts make it easy. You will have the number to call and the message to convey. Progress cannot happen without you. Sign up for the action alerts today at stopabortionnow.org, sponsored by Pro-Life Vote.
Hi friends, I'm Jenna Ellis and I am here at Priests for Life with my very dear friend, Father Frank Pavone, and I would just encourage you to join in their ministry for pro-life. This is about recognizing the dignity of every human being who's made in the image of God, and the work that they do here is so incredibly important, and I'm so proud to partner with them and to advance their ministry. So please follow along with Father Frank at FR Frank Pavone and at Priests for Life on all social media and also on their website. We'd encourage your prayers, your donation, and of course